east and west. So real simple, east on the map is to the right, west is to the left. So, we'll run some tackle over. We run some end over where our split end and tight end both in the game at the same time, and they would line up to the same side. East west and over combination. We don't run a lot of that, but basically what it is to one side you're going to have your tackle over, to the other side you have your end over, which if you're in a one back set for us, wing T, it's really a balanced formation, but it really gives the defenses a problem sometimes. You got the secondary over there yelling, end over right, and you got the frontage guys yelling tackle over left and so forth. So it's something we'll run occasionally. Trips for us, we're in a trips formation. What we call trips on just means we're going to have the two split ends on. So, it's really an unbalanced formation. It's amazing how many teams we play over the years that don't recognize that. And we can basically run our whole offense out of it. And then sometimes we'll combine our unbalanced formations with some strong back sets, which for us means we play with a right and a left halfback. So if we're in a strong back set, we're going to take our left halfback and bring him over to the right, put him in a dive back position, or vice versa. So it's kind of a combination of strong backs and an unbalanced. Some considerations, and I think with unbalanced, we're wing T obviously, and Skip was just talking about it. I think this is my 28 years of coaching high school football. We've run wing T 27, and we've had 27 winning seasons. The one year we didn't run wing T was the year I think we finished 3-7 that year. We started out we had a fullback who was a scholarship kid, went to BU, and at that time he started as a freshman and sophomore there, and then they dropped football, and he ended up transferring to Penn. He was a great student and a good kid, came from a single family, lived with just his mom. So when he graduated from high school, at that time, I think it cost him probably $15,000 or $20,000 to go to Penn, but he was going to BU for free. So he ended up going to BU for 2 years, was a 2-year starter. And then they dropped football, so he transferred to Penn and was a 2-year starter there. So it worked out great for him. But in our first scrimmage, he was our fullback, and he played middle linebacker for us. And in our first scrimmage, he broke his leg. And then my tailback dislocated his elbow. I think it was maybe the third or fourth game of the year. We ended up 3-7, and that was the last time that we ever got out of the wing T. And honestly, I know we would have won 5 games, finished 5-5 that year if we had been in the wing T. So, but anyway, as far as the unbalanced formation, I think it's something you can use, no matter what offense you use. So I'm just going to give you some basic things that we think about. First of all, we're multiple formations, and we do that by being as simple as possible and systematic as possible. Last night, I talked a little bit about our numbering system and so forth, which is different from the wing T teams. But for us, our formations are either colors or words, and then we tag them. And for us, anything that's a color, brown, gold, black, double black, white, anything that's a color, we're going to have at least one tight end in the game or two. Anything that's a word, trips, spread, trips on, we don't have a tight end in the game. So when we call our plays during the game, we don't signal anything in. We don't have wristbands, nothing like that. We actually just substitute the kids in, and I'll be on the sideline, and I'll have my second tight end, my second split end, second and third split end probably, and those kids will run the plays in for us. So for us it works, and it's something that's been good to us over the years. Last night I also talked a little bit. We got into the shotgun a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and it's helped us with some phases of the game. And right now, this past year, we were in the shotgun about 40% of the time. And I think that's probably where we're going to end up. I don't see us going any more than that over the next few years. but for us, our game plan, we're trying to out formation the teams that we play, and we do that by motioning. Obviously, that's just part of the wing T philosophy, but we also do it by shifting, which I'll talk a little bit about tonight, and then obviously the unbalanced stuff that we run. So, example for that this year, our number one play as far as the number of plays that we ran was belly, which we ran 96 times this year, which I was kind of surprised that because that's pretty low for us. You're figuring 12 games, 96 bellies, and we actually had, I think, probably 4 or 5 games where our first team didn't play in the second half. So a lot of those bellies were our second team. When we would get the second team kids in the second half, they're basically running trap, sweep, belly, off tackle, whatever, quick pitch maybe. We're not shifting and we're not running unbalanced and so forth. So a lot of those 96 plays were probably our second team kids. But we ran 96 bellies this year, and when I counted up, we actually ran it out of 23 different formations with different types of motion. So again, we're a basic wing T team, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think people think that we do all kinds of crazy stuff or do a lot of stuff on offense. We really don't. We're really a basic wing T team. We just dress it up a lot with motions and shifts and so forth. Play calling for us. I've tried scripting plays, 10 plays, 20 plays, whatever. That lasted about 1 game, I think. And, we have my play sheet at the beginning of the game is 1 play. So I'm going to call a play on the first series. If it's something we've seen on film where the defense, I just think there's something that we can take advantage of. We might run something, but for the most part, it's going to be a play that we can run against any defense. And it's going to be a play that I know we're going to gain 3 or 4 yards, and it's going to be some type of successful play. And, the main reason for that is, probably because we had so much success at Longmeadow when I was there that, we'd come out and, all week we work against an even front, odd front, whatever it is, bear look. And we come out into a game, and the team that we're playing is doing something completely different. They're in a defense that they haven't played all year and so forth. So, the game plan was out the window after the first play. So, that's what we've come down to. And basically what'll happen is, I'm going to call that first play, and I give a list of things to my guys up top and tell them, hey, these are the things I need to know after this first series. And we're going to take the ball in the first series if we can, other than, weather-wise or, something else. But for the most part, we're going to take the ball, and I'm going to tell our guys, hey, listen, I need to know what their adjustment is to the tight end wing. I need to know what they're going to do against unbalanced, whether we're going to run tackle over or end over. We don't usually run both in the same game. So game planning wise, we've probably decided that week which one we're going to run. I need to know what they're going to do to trips, whether they recognize if it's trips on balance or regular trips. So basically, I'm going to give them a list of 4 or 5 things that I need to know at the end of the first series. Then we go from there. Of course, it's a little bit easier when you've been doing it for 40 plus years. So some younger guys, it's going to take some time to develop that. But anyway, with our unbalanced stuff, whether we're tackle over, end over, whatever it is, we're going to run plays that take as little or no learning as possible. And I mentioned that we went to the shotgun a few years ago. And when we did that, the plays that we've put in are wing T plays. So we're running buck sweep, trap, etc. We're running belly, we're running counter, but it's the same blocking scheme as counter crisscross for us. So no new learning. This past year we put in power. This year we're probably going to add jet into the mix. So it's things that basically we didn't have to teach the offensive line anything new. So that was big for us. And because of that, what we tell our kids is, hey, listen, we're on balance, we're tackle over, and what's going to happen is you're going to get that question, hey, coach, what if they do this? What are they going to do when we do this, etc. I don't know. I don't coach them. I coach you guys. Follow your rule, and that's the beauty of the wing tee. Follow your rule, and you're going to be okay. Uh, Assignment wise, if we have east or west, which again for us is tackle over, if that's in our game plan that week, then during practice, what we'll do is we'll have our third and fourth tackles. So if we're working, when I take the offensive line that week, I'm not going to take the tight ends with me. They'll go off and work on something else. We'll take the offensive line, and when our first team is going through our assignments, we'll line them up, against the defense that we're going to see that week. And what I'll do is I'll take my first and second tackles. I'm sorry, my third and fourth tackles, and I have them work with the first unit, and they become the tight ends. Because basically, when you tackle over, the tackles are replacing your tight end, so they have to know those tight end assignments, which for the most part aren't that much different than what they do with our wing tee. So once we go through all of our inside run game, we'll flip it. So now our first team will be, I'm sorry, our second team will be running our stuff against that whatever look we're going to see. My first string tackles, I have them work with the second group and do the same thing. They become the two tight ends. But what I'll do is I'll flop them. So if you're my starting left tackle, when we go to this period, you're going to go over and play right tackle, because in the game, when we go unbalanced, that's where you're going to be. So, practice-wise, that's something you want to think about. Some other considerations, tackle over, east-west versus end over, how much difference does it make? Not a whole lot. I think most of it probably depends on your personnel, what you're seeing defensively and so forth, and what your game plan is, what type of things you're going to run. So, our tight ends are probably usually going to be better at reach blocks. Our tackles are going to be bigger, stronger kids, and so forth. This year we had two new tight ends, one kid who played as a freshman and came back out this year. And our second tight end is a real good athlete who played baseball and came out as a senior this year and did a nice job, but he's very inexperienced. So a lot of it just depends on personnel. Recognizing adjustments obviously is the key thing. And like I said a couple of minutes ago, game planning wise, when we get into that first series, and I tell the coaches, listen, I'm going to run a play out of unbalanced. I'm going to run a play out of trips. I'm going to run something with a tight end wing. So you need to let me know the adjustments on all that stuff. And, we need to know after that first play. Now, it's great having the sideline view now and being able to look at that stuff on the sideline. And this is the first time we've had it this year, and it was a great help for us. But for the last 27 years, we didn't have that advantage. So our guys up top, they got to do a pretty good job. If we're unbalanced, whether it's tackle over, end over, there are certain plays in our offense that we run without motion. And if it's a play that, if we don't think you're going to adjust, or we think we can get out on the ball and run a play before you're set, we're going to go on a quick count. If it's an outside run play, buck sweep or whatever, it's probably going to be in the up sound. So for us, when we come out over the ball, I talked about it last night, our cadence, we use a lot of different cadences, but for us, a quick count would be the first sound. So we come out over the ball and the quarterback just say set, and we run the ball. So if we're running buck sweep and it's end over or tackle over, we're going to go on the up sound. The down sound for us is actually the second sound. So when we come out over the ball, we're all in a 2-point stance. And when the quarterback says down, they'll get into a 3-point stance. So if we come out and we say down sound, it's basically going to be down, set, and we run the ball on set. So again, it's going to be a play that obviously doesn't require any motion, and it's probably an inside run play. So it might be a trap or a belly or whatever. The plays that do require motion, which is pretty much everything that when we're in a one-back set, we're going to choice those. So when we're on balance, if we're going to call, if we're going to go gold over, which is end over for us, we're just going to say jet on the line, rocket on the line, buck sweep on the line. So we'll choice all of those plays, so that even though if we might have a pretty good idea after that first series, or maybe even looking at film, uh, if there's going to be adjustment, and if there is, what the adjustment's going to be, and so forth. Most of the time, we'll still choice it anyway. Why run a bad play in case they've changed their, what they're going to do defensively that week or whatever. We'll shift in and out of balanced formations. Now, we don't usually do that when we run tackle over. I just think it's a waste of time. You get a 270-pound kid who lines up on the left, and all of a sudden he shifts over to the right. Everybody in the ballpark can see that. So we don't usually do that, but we will trade the tight end a lot. So we'll I think this year in our state championship game, we actually I would say probably more than half the time that the plays that we ran, we either shifted in or out of an unbalanced formation. And same with trips. And I think I'll show that to you in a minute, so that it'd be a little bit easier to explain when I show up the diagram. Over formations, when our split end is over to the same side as the tight end. Sometimes that split end takes its normal split, which in wing T for us is, with a tight end over there and a wing back over there, he's probably going to be in an 8-yard split. But there are games where we'll put him out there 20, 25 yards and, play 10 on 10 instead of 11 on 11. So, and that depends on a bunch of things. It depends on, our split end, what his strengths are. Is he a good blocker? Defensively, your personnel, is you're a corner, a cover guy who doesn't want any part of the run game, stuff like that. So we're going to kind of look at those things. So those are some of the considerations. I'm going to go through this pretty quick and then throw on some video. But basically, in our offense, we have 4 types of motion. I don't know if you guys can see that all right, but on the top left-hand side, just regular jet motion for us, where our wing back's going to motion into the A gap, and we run all of our 8 series, which is jet sweep basically. So we're going to run jet, trap, waggle off of that look, and we do play with a right and a left halfback. So the motion for us is understood in most of our series. So again, I talked about our numbering system last night, but for us, the first digit tells us the series. So for us, jet is 8 series. So if we call 848, it means 8 is jet. The 4-back's carrying the ball, and he's going to go to the 8 hole. So it's jet sweep right. If we want to run it to the left, it would be 829. So same play, but we're going to run the play to the left regardless of formation. So now the 2-back's the ball carrier, and he's going to run the 9 hole. And we don't flop those backs. So I play with a right and a left halfback, and always have. I know some of the wing T teams and clinics that I've listened to over the years, some guys play with a wing back and a halfback or tailback, whatever you want to call them. For us, I've always felt that from a learning standpoint, I thought that might be an easier way to do it. But I think from a depth standpoint, if my 4-back is, I got my 4-back and my 2-back, my third running back, third halfback, he's got to learn both sides, because if he's the next best guy, he's the guy I want in the game if somebody goes down. So if I were to have 2 tailbacks and 2 wings, and the tailback goes down, and now what do? If that wing back is my next best player and he doesn't know what to do at the halfback spot, you're a little bit of a bind. So you're really looking at your 4th best halfback. So we've always done that. And same thing with the offensive line. Next week, Mike has me doing some offensive line stuff, and it's the same stuff. If my right guard and left guard, in practice, they play right and left guard. They don't work both sides, but my third guy, he's going to work both sides, so that in a game situation, if somebody goes down, he's able to go into the game, tackles and so forth, same thing. So anyway, that's jet motion. Rocket motion for us, that would be our 9 series. So our halfback, if we're going to run it to the right, it'd be our 4-back. If we're going the other way to the left, it would be our 2-back going in motion. And he's going to motion right behind the fullback, and he's going to be about 1 yard behind that fullback when the ball's snapped. and we run a little bit of rocket. It's a play it's a good play. It's not a play that we run enough, and we need to run more of it. That motion is going to be fast. We want our motion to be quick, no matter what type of motion we're going to run, and try to catch the defense. And again, I think that's one of the advantages that you have in a wing tee is getting that guy across the formation. Bottom left-hand side is your regular T motion. So that's the motion that you're going to see from us in buck sweep, off tackle, belly, etc. Most everything we run crisscross. That's the motion you're going to see. Now, and then the last one on the bottom right-hand side is fly motion, where we're going to take our halfback and run them across the formation. So we basically have 4 types of motion. All those motions, we want them to be quick. All of those motions are understood to be figured into our series. So one series for us is bubble screen. So that's going to be in the bottom right. It's fly motion. He's going to get across the formation. We're going to bubble to him. Same thing if we're going to run a buck sweep, then our halfback's going to come in T motion, etc. We can change that up. So if I want to run belly, I mentioned belly that we ran 90 whatever times out of different formations with different motion. If we just called left round 334, that would be a belly to the right for us, and our 4-back nosy has to come in T motion. If I want to run it with rocket motion or jet motion, we just tag it. So it would be left goal jet 334, left goal rocket 334, and so forth. And same with counter, whatever series we're going to run. Different shifts, I think. Some games we won't shift. We know that it's not going to affect the defense. They're going to sit in whatever. There's not going to be any movement, so we're not going to waste time by shifting and so forth. But there's, against certain teams, there's advantages that we can get by shifting, and then motioning in some situations. At the top left, step to trips. Basically what that is, when we come out in a trips formation, we are our 2 X's, our 2 split ends, one of them is actually off the line, the outside guy, and our 4-back in the top left hand, that would be a trips formation for us. So our 4-back would be on the line, and which means he's eligible and everybody's eligible. If we step that 4-back off the line, that would be a trips on formation for us. So that means that the split end to the right over here would actually step onto the line. I've got it drawn up opposite here. We're stepping 2 trips. But so right now, this would be trips on. So you've got on the line, and our 2-back and a 4-back off the line. And we can run our entire offense. We can run buck sweep, belly, crisscross, jet, rocket, etc. If teams recognize that, one of the shifts we're going to use is step 2 trips. What will happen is, and this has happened to us a few times over the years, you get a guy out here covering number 2. All of a sudden he sees that he recognizes that it's unbalanced, and you'll see this strong safety outside backer. He'll start to come in here. Some of the teams will just bring him off the edge or whatever. If teams start to do that, then we're going to step to trips. All right, which means our split end will step off, our halfback will step up. Now everybody's eligible. And this guy who's coming here and he's going to blitz, or just, sometimes he'll box, he'll put his back to us and so forth, so we can't down block him. Now basically we end up with a 3-on-2 in the pass game. So, and I think most times we're probably going to run 4 verticals, so we'll get a streak, and then this guy will run a post pattern if we're on the hash and we're in a trips formation. So that would be our answer. Sometimes we'll shift from formation to formation. So slot left for us, we line up in the start left, slot left, and then our halfback with backfield, slot left to gold. He steps up and becomes a wing back. So basically teams are going to call strength to the 2 receiver side, possibly. You don't get as much of it nowadays with the hashes the way they are. Same thing with down here on the bottom left-hand side, shift to brown. This is something I know my first year when I came up to Maine, early in the year, we played 1 or 2 teams who were 50 fronts, and they played with a monster and so forth. And they were still, the ball would be on the hash, and they would put the monster to the wide side of the field, or they would put them to the two receiver side. So if they're going to put them to the two receiver side, we would just go. In this case, this would be shift Brown. So real simply, our halfbacks, we would just tell them, hey, if you're going to end up as a wing, start in the backfield. If you're going to end up in the backfield, start out as a wing. So basically, we would come out and show them a slot left here. So they would set their strong safety over here to the twins. And then our back would step up to the wing. Our other back would step into the backfield. Now we have a tight end wing set over here, and they've got their strong safety on the wrong side of the field. So we don't see that as much anymore now that the hashes have changed. And then trade for us, for our halfbacks, it's the same as shift. So if you're going to end up as a wing back, start in the backfield. If you're going to start out as a wing back, I'm sorry, if you're going to start in the backfield, if you're going to end up as a wing, start in the backfield and move up, and our tight end will come across the formation. We ran a lot of that this year against Brunswick in the state championship. They're a 5-3 team and basically play an 8-man front. So I think last year when we played them, I think every single play of the game, we were either in a spread or trips formation with no tight end, or we were in double tights. So it was, double black, which for us is two tight ends and two wings and so forth. This year we traded, I think I already said it, but we probably traded more than half the time. All right, over formations. For us, what we call over formation just means the split end is going to go over to the tight end side. So when we call our formations, we call them by colors. So anything that's a color means we have at least one tight end in the game, or possibly two, depending on the color. So at the top of the formation, basic wing T formation, tight end wing right, with a dive back, our split end has a 6-yard split. So for us, that would be a brown formation. So, we run all of our wing T stuff out of that. If we want to go unbalanced, we just tag it with an over. So brown over. The tight end still goes to the right, but now the split end, when we call over, we're basically talking to one guy. It doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So our split end knows he's over, and that means you're going to go over to the same side as the tight end. So it's real simple. So that middle formation would be a brown over. Now we could trade in and out of those also, which again we did in the championship game this year. So we might start brown over. All we would call, if we wanted to shift into this formation, we would just say shift brown over, trade brown over. So the tight end knows he's going to start over here and he's going to come over. Our halfback here knows he's going to start out as a wing and come back. The two back would start in the backfield and he would move up, and I'll show you a clip in a minute, but that would be trade brown over. Or we could start out in this formation and trade left brown. So if you said trade left brown, the tight end would come over here and he would go to the left and trade. Our four back would move up to wing spot and our two back would come into the backfield. Now we're in a left brown formation. If you want to do the same thing in our one back set, for us, it's a gold formation. Again, a color tells us that there's a tight end in the split end, or I'm sorry, at least one tight end in the game. So we're a gold formation here. Gold over is going to put the split end to the same side as the tight end, and it's a double wing set. And we keep all of our basic wing T splits. When we call our formations, the same formation to the left, we just tag it with a left. So up top, this is a brown formation. If we're going to run it over here, it would be a left brown. This would be a gold formation down here. We would go left gold, etc. If you want to call it left gold over, that puts the split end and the tight end to the left side. And we can run pretty much our entire offense out of that. So you're going to see buck sweep, trap, etc. Let me throw on a little bit of the end over stuff so you can take a look at it. But we run crisscross out of it, jet rocket, and so forth. Okay. So for us, this is the game this year, the championship game. So we're in a brown formation. So for us, it's a tight end wing right, split end left, and it's a regular wing T formation. So for us, the call in the huddle would be trade left brown over. So we're going to trade the tight end. We're going to end up in an unbalanced formation here. And one of the reasons we're doing this, obviously, is Brunswick in their 5-3 look. They're going to run that outside back on the defensive end. They want to have a guy who's used to playing to the open side and a guy who's playing to the closed side or tight end side. So they're running those guys across the formation. And you can see here, this is early in the game and trade left brown over. So we're unbalanced and we run a trap. We don't really have a numbers advantage here. Later on, we ran a couple sweeps and had big plays. But the one thing that we do have is I think the defense is running around trying to get lined up. It's hard enough when you're playing against a wing T team, I think, and you see the misdirection stuff and, guys going different directions and whatnot. And you can see they're not quite set here. So this would be trade left brown over and 230 trap is the call for us, or 230, 231. That's our base scheme is trap. It's the end zone view here. Trade. Tight end's going to block on. We get an odd call to the tight end side, so our nose guard and actually here the middle linebacker, our guard is going to take the middle linebacker, which he shouldn't have. In this game, actually, this left guard, he was a tackle for us all year, and we ended up moving him to guard for the championship game because our guards weren't getting the job done. This is the only game he started at offensive guard. He started one other game, I think, at offensive tackle, and he actually did a pretty good job. But here he should have double teamed and chipped off to the backside back or in our play side tackle, who actually has a free release here and would end up on the middle linebacker. And what I mentioned before, if we're going to come unbalanced and we're going to run an outside run play, it doesn't require any motion. Right now, this is a brown over. This was against Thornton, which was our second game of the year. Our first string tight end, his uncle passed away that week and he couldn't be there. And our second string tight end was injured. So this kid is actually our split end, and he had to play both some tight end and some split end in this game. But actually, so we're going to run end over here, and we're just going to run buck sweep. And our split end, he's got a normal split for us. We don't have him out here wide. So he's going to read down, read down, read down. And when you go unbalanced, the nice thing about the wing T is there's no new learning. So this split end, if we were in a brown formation, we had a tight end wing here, he reads down, he reads down, he reads down. We're going to pull the two guards. The split end normally would be on the backside and cutting off. We put him over here and, hey, what would you do if we ran 248 to your side? Well, I would read down. Well, you know what? Follow your rule. So he's going to do that. He's going to block the first man inside here, hopefully. And actually the corner releases, gets inside leverage on him. So he takes the corner and then does a nice job. This is our sophomore. He's actually our backup quarterback. He'll be our starting quarterback this year. He actually chips off and takes the safety, does a nice job. Frontside guard gets out clean. We had two new guards this year, so our backside guard, I don't know why he pulls up so soon here. But this is just a brown over 248 for us. In zone view. Same thing. This is also against Thornton. This is halfback pass. So I think this year we ran 5 halfback passes. All 5 were out of unbalanced formations with either the end over or the tackle over. It really doesn't matter. And I think we completed 4 of them. And this is the only one of the 4 that we don't score on. unfortunately, because we turned the ball over on the next play and ended up losing 28-27. Left Brown over 229. So I was saying before that we when we ran that trap play, we traded into an unbalanced, and this time we came out and into an unbalanced, and we had traded it a bunch of times early, and then we just came out unbalanced. And you can see over here, as I said before, we got our split end over here, and he's just going to take a wide split, and he's going to stock block number one. So we're going to end up playing 10 on 10 here. They really did not make an adjustment, so we're unbalanced here. And you can see we got pretty good leverage. He should stock block this guy, and we've got down blocks here with the guard, two guards pulling, so it's a pretty good advantage for us. We're going to run it on a quick count. It's an outside run play. Our linemen are in 2-point stances, but I think you can make a down block from a 2-point stance. I don't think you have to be in a 3-point. It's not like trap or power or belly. And we actually get both guards out clean. This back's pretty quick. He likes to outrun the guards. We try to get him not to do that, but he'll get that with experience. Left Brown over 229. Same play. We're going to run it to the left. We get pretty good down blocks right here. Our split end, he's going to follow his rule. He's end over. So again, what's your rule on buck sweep? Well, my rule is to read down. Well, this guy's head up, so you can't block him. So we're going to release up. In this case, I don't know if they're in a too deep or whatever, but he ends up on the safety, which means we're going to have to kick out the corner, which we do. And again, our little halfback outruns our backside guard, but still a pretty good play. Left Brown over 229, end zone view. And again, you can see that we've got a numbers advantage. Goal line situation. This is actually, this is a combination. So we are end over. So this is our tight end, and this is our split end with our halfback in the slot. So in the goal line, most of the time we're going to get man coverage. But anyway, we're in a brown over. Normally we don't split this guy out here. So I'm not sure why he's out so wide, but we go brown over and then we go strong. So we take this left halfback and we make him the dive back. And again, it's not changing any rules. So, hey, if we were running a 335, what do? I'm going to jab step and I'm going to block the front side backer. Well, if we put you over here and run 334, what are you going to do? I'm going to jab step and read the backside backer. So that's the beauty of the wing T. Right now, they don't have anybody on the tight end, on our tackle, on our guard. I think they have maybe a guy in a zero shade or a zero. So, obviously we're just going to walk in. And that's a play that will run on the down sound. So here's the end zone view. So we're just going to come out and say down, set, and we run the play. And again, we've got a 4 blocking 1 situation here. Left Brown over 725, which is power for us, but we knew in their game against these guys that they were going to take that closed end and put him on our tight end, and that he was going to ride the down block. So what we did is we doubled down and we ran it 1 hole wider this week. So our wing back and our tight end down block the 5 technique. Our wing back should come off for the backside backer. And our fullback's going to go 1 hole wider. He normally would kick out the end, so he takes the outside backer. We seal him. Trade Left Brown over 725 wide, so it's power, and we're going to run it 1 hole wider. Are we unbalanced here? Yeah, we are. We're end over here, so Um, they don't take the outside backer or the inside backer rather and move him out, but they do have 3/2 here. So they recognize that it's unbalanced. And we end up running trap. End over again, buck sweep. All right, let me get out of this and show you guys some tackle over stuff. So again, for us tackle over, this would be a slot formation. So our X's is split out at 8 yards. We'd have our 2 back in the slot, our 4 X a dive back, and we actually have a tight end in the game. This is the one formation that we run that we do have a tight end and we don't use a color. I just like the formation. So we couldn't figure out a way to do it. But if we want to go unbalanced, we would just call slot east and we would take that left tackle and put him over here to the right. So this would be a slot east formation for us. And we have the tight end on the back side. If we want to run it out of a 1-back set, it would be left gold, which is tight end wing, and slot over here. So we have double wing formation. So this would be left gold east. And again, we take that left tackle, bring him to the right. And if we want to run it the opposite direction, it would just be gold west or slot left west. And we run unbalanced to the left. This is a brown formation, which again for us is tight end wing, but we're going to go west. So brown west brings the right tackle over to the left. Our split in takes his normal split. Black for us is 2 tight ends. So if we went black east, we'd actually have 4 guys to the right over here. We'd have our extra tackle, but we have 2 tight ends in the game now. And we could go white east, which is a full T backfield, and do the same thing. This would be black east. This would be double black. So we have 2 wings, 2 tight ends, but we're going to take the left tackle and put him over to the right. And basically, it's not really going to be that much different because pretty much anything that we can run out of a tackle over, we can run out of end over. So the only things we couldn't run would be like tackle, trap. We wouldn't run just because it changes their rules, and I want to keep it as simple as possible. But anyway, this for us would be slot east. So it's a slot formation. We've got our split end and 2 back over here. We've taken our left tackle, we put him over here, and we're going to run a buck sweep. So slot east 248. We're going to get out of the huddle, and in practice when we run this, we're on the script, and I'm saying, as soon as we call the play, I'm like, hey, get to the line, let's run this play as quick as possible. So slot east 248, buck sweep. And now you're looking at some bigger kids. We're going to take a 270-pound tackle and put them over here instead of a 190-pound tight end. And again, the beauty of it is that we haven't changed any rules for anybody. So if you're the left tackle and you're going to read down, if we run sweep to your side, you're going to read down. If we put you on the other side and run it over there, you're still going to read down. Same play here, slot east 248. So down, 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 and wingtail rules for us is read down to us means you're going to block the first man inside, on or off the line of scrimmage. So over here we've got our right tackle who's 270 pounds. We've got our left tackle who's 270 pounds, both blocking down. The defense isn't set here, so we're going to hustle to the line of scrimmage. We're going to run the play. It doesn't require motion, so we're going to run the play on an up sound. We're going to get out there, make sure we're set for a 1 count and get the ball snapped. Slot east 248. We don't see the beginning of this, but this is the same play to the left. So this will be slot left west 229. That's the one problem with going on the quick count. A lot of times our camera guys miss the snap. Halfback pass, my right halfback was left-handed, my left halfback was right-handed, so it was kind of a nice situation. This is our sophomore. He doesn't show run like we'd like him to, but he actually was a quarterback right up until his freshman year, so he throws the ball pretty well. Slot east 334 Main. Last night I think I said it. We use states for our line call. So Dakota's a double team, Carolina is a cross block, etc. So for us, Main just means man blocking, which means you're going to block your inside gap on linebacker. So right now we are in a slot formation east. So we brought the left tackle over here, our tight ends to the left. We brought our left tackle over here, and we're just going to run a belly, and we're going to man block it. We're on the, I don't know what yard line, and it looks like we're on the 7 or 8 yard line. But basically, now you're looking at a 270, 270, 265, and 265 over here to the play side. And, we got a halfback as our lead blocker. Here it is from the end zone view. We're not going to block the outside back here, number 12. He's really not a threat. So we actually gives us an extra blocker because, we got our tackle on here. Our extra tackle is going to go up in the linebacker because he's got nobody in the gap. Our right guard's got a man on, so he blocks him. And now we have our dive back as an extra blocker. He ends up on the free safety in this play. So even though his rule is linebacker. This is power, slot east 744. I don't think they adjusted here, so we should get a double team on the 3 technique. Yeah, we do. And the fullback kicks out. Our 2-back's going to influence. He's going to fake the down block, so we've been running that buck sweep. So basically what's going to happen here is number 48 is going to fake a down block here, make him think they're going to run buck sweep here. Fake the down block, and then he'll turn out on the outside backer. If we run in buck sweep, our split end would block this guy, but he's going to do the same thing. He's going to influence. So he's going to fake a down block on this guy and go for the free safety. And it ends up being a big play for us. Double team, pull the backside guard through the hole. Slot east, same play. Slot east 744, which is power. You got a 6-man front here. So they're just going to follow their base rule. So our center's going to block back. He should have blocked back. And we're going to double the 5 technique to the backside backer. It looks like he was in a I-4, so the tackle takes himself, and our extra tackle chips off to the backside backer. Left goal east, so now we're going to run motion. And this is down, belly down. So now we have a 270-pound tackle who's got a free release to the linebacker. instead of a 190-pound tight end. And again, it doesn't change anybody else's rules. So what we should get here is our tackle should block down here. Our extra tackle should actually be, this guy's stacked inside, so he actually should go up on this guy. But our wingback's rule is over the hole, so he would come in here. So we probably would end up on with two guys on him. There is no free safety, so if the wingback, if he saw that the tackle had a free release, he would go over the hole. He sees that, he should go for the safety, but there is none here. So they must be in cover 0. Left Brown East, 334 Main. So again, we're going to go from center to tackle. We're between 260 and 270 pounds, those 4 guys. So we're just going to come up and we're going to man block this. I don't see what the down and distance is. Well, it says 1st and 10. I guess it was 1st and 10. All right, guys. I don't know if you can still hear me. I'm trying to get back on here.
We can hear you, Coach.
You can, okay.
Yeah.
We only get about 2 minutes here, so there's no sense going on to anything new. How about any questions that you guys might have?
Yeah, if you guys want to come on, you can turn on your cameras and unmute your mics and get any questions in you want to with Coach. One of the questions is run to pass ratio, Coach.
Say it again.
What's your run to pass ratio like?
Well, we're unbalanced. Or offensively, I don't know. Yeah, I've never really concerned myself with it too much. It depends on what we're getting defensively and so forth. So, there's some games where we're going to run the ball. We're going to throw the ball 20, 25 time game, 20, 25 times. And there's some games where we're going to throw it, 5 or 10 times. So it just depends on what we're getting and so forth. So as far as the unbalanced formations, it's going to be quite different. We're pretty limited as far as the passing game goes. So I'm not sure if that's, if you meant one or the other. I'm trying to get back on here onto the screen. Can you guys see me all right?
Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, okay. I can't see you, but that doesn't matter. So anyway, it just depends on what we're getting defensively and so forth and what we think we can take advantage of. So, but when we're unbalanced, we're going to run the ball most of the time. The one thing I didn't get to here was trips formation. So when we're in the unbalanced trips, I did show it to you. I just didn't get to the video, but when we're on unbalanced trips, we've got 2 split ends in the game, and they're both going to go to the same side. And if we're in a regular trips, our outside split end, the furthest guy in the formation, is going to be off the line. And I did a clinic, I don't know, last month or 2 months ago, whatever now. And somebody asked me why we keep the outside guy off the line. Well, the reason we do that is we don't want defensively, that corner and the strong safety, they're out there and they see the two guys on the line. Um, and they recognize it. That inside guy is going to come in and he's probably going to box on us, or, he's going to maybe even come off the edge, or he's certainly going to be thinking run. So we want to be able to shift out of that, which I showed you. So we would step two. So that outside receiver would just step back off line and make himself eligible. And we would probably throw the ball in that situation. So I didn't get a chance to show that to you guys, but we do run quite a bit of it. So and we run crisscross out of it. It's almost, I guess it's always a one back set for us. So we can run our buck sweep, our trap, two series, our belly. Pretty much everything we can run out of that set, because we've got the two wings and they can both go in motion if it's unbalanced.
I know, Coach, one thing we always wrestle with is, whether to go tackle over or tight end over. Because if you bring the tackle over, you maybe bring in the bigger blocker, but you're also having to teach him maybe a new set of rules because he's playing tight end instead of tackle. And then there's if you leave the tight end on the back and bring the tackle over, you have more eligible receivers, so there's more for them to cover. Do you have a preference really either way?
We really don't have a preference, and for us, it's a week-to-week thing. And I think I said in the beginning, I usually don't have both in the game plan. I'm going to either be end over or tackle over. Very rarely have we run both in the same game. So most of it's just a game planning thing and what we think we're going to run most. Like I said before, generally our tight end is going to be better at the reach blocks, or if we're going to if we're going to run rocket out of unbalanced, he's going to release outside and block linebacker or safety. So he's going to be a little bit more athletic than our tackles. If we're going to run belly, if we're down in the goal line, we want to be in east or west and put the big tackle in there. So it's going to vary from week to week. Sometimes, I just change it up because it really isn't much different. If we don't have a preference as far as, okay, we're going to run more jet this week or whatever, then we'll just say, okay, last time we played these guys, we were end over. So this time we'll just run east or west because it really doesn't make too much difference to us.
I know we had a good one we used this year where we used a lot on like 2-point plays or just down inside the 5. We went tackle over, and then had he was obviously covered by the split end on that side, empty backfield, so there's also a wing on that side just outside the tackle, and then we had 2 wings to the backside with the tight end, so there were 3 eligible receivers on the weak side. And then the heavy tackle tight end, a wing, and then a wide split end on the other side.
Yeah.
And we tried running. We actually ran rocket out of the gun, which was interesting. It was a little timing of it was a little crazy, but we managed to get one kid who could do it pretty well, and then we had a little counter play off it, a little pass off it. It was a nice little series, but the 3 receivers to the weak side eligible we thought would be interesting. So
yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
Cool. Anybody else got any questions out there for Coach?
Not here. Brought back some good memories, Coach. A lot of verbiage I haven't heard in a long time. Ironically, my numbering system, the 3 digits was just virtually like yours. The first digits were different, obviously, but still, first digit was a series. Second digit was a back. Last guy was a point of attack, and same with it was nice to hear. I wasn't that crazy back in the day.
Yeah, I just think it's so much easier to learn, and there's maybe 5 or 6 schools that spent some time with us, and they wanted to go to Wing T, and they ended up using our system. Because I think they thought the same thing, that it was just easy. And when I came up to Maine, after being at Long Meadow for 20 years. That's when I realized how easy it was. The kids picked up the stuff so fast. I was really shocked at how fast they picked up everything. It's just so logical, and we tell the kids, when we have our team meeting the first day, I say every year to those guys, hey, listen, do not try to memorize what you do. If you try to memorize what you do, you are never going to play for us. What you have to do is you have to understand the system. And if you do that, you're going to kind of figure out what you're supposed to do. So
that's good stuff, man. Good job, Coach. Loved it.
Thanks.
Good. When I was with Ian Braun up at Old Town, he used to use that numbering system for the wishbone, Coach.
Yeah,
I did, exactly. It was the same. I just carried over the numbers and attached a different series. One was our power series. It was triple option. It was whatever. And the kids just made the transition from me going from the wing tee to triple seamless.
Yeah.
We ran waggle out of the wishbone.
Oh, no kidding.
I used to run a ton of waggle out of wishbone my first year.
Huh.
Great.
I ran wishbone at Belfast when I played there back in high school.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Absolutely.
But I enjoyed it. Great job, man. I know I'd be entertained. In a very positive way. I'm not saying in a good way, man. It was nice to hear.
Well, I'm glad.
That was good stuff, Coach. We'll wrap this night up then. I'm sure I'll see some of you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it, my friend.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Take
Coach
care.
Lynch from Maine tomorrow, Skip, should be a good one.
Absolutely. What was that, Coach?
Coach Lynch from Maine, the strength and conditioning guy. He's up tomorrow.
I definitely want to watch that. It's going to be good.
That one should be good. So
later, guys.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All right. Take care.